Welcome to the preview of the Longford quarter-final Club Senior Championship. An Saturday on the Saturday Killeagh in Drumard, agus Colmcille in Kish. An Donach on the Sunday St Columbus Mullinalaghta in Granard agus Abbeylara in Rathcline. Conan Clara Corrilaharta Mick Conlon again. Mick Ochon Kildare, not a very big man, not a very small man, but what you might call a handyman. Also on the programme, Padraig O'Brien on Longford leader. Padraig has been reporting on matches Shaska Blian for about 60 years. And also on the programme, Jimmy Jess Connell O'Mahastrim, the late Jimmy Connell Mort. The man is hardly ever on time for anything. So we hope you enjoy the programme. Buinigi Tanya Vas and Glor.
I was on the title, I was reading down paper there. Right. I see this Padraig O'Brien lad writing about hurling now. No, it's not about football, never mind.
Right, come on lads, let's go ahead, come on. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the preview show for the quarterfinals of the Longford Senior Football Championship, and we'll get to some of the other competitions as well. We're joined, as usual, by Jimmy Jess here, comedian at large, and we are also joined by... oh yeah, we're also joined, thanks for that, Jimmy, we're also joined by our good old friend and colleague, who I would never forget, Padraig O'Brien, who's the senior sports editor with the Longford Leader. Thanks for coming, lads.
Thank you, Mick, for inviting us.
No, thanks, mate.
So it's been, to say the least, a dramatic week, lads. And even as we're here on a Wednesday recording this here in a great studio set up here in the Backstage Theatre in Longford, things are decided, but yet not fully decided. Padraig, what's the latest news on the Carrick-Edmond appeal?
Oh, well, I was talking to a couple of people from Carrick-Edmond about it. They're going ahead, they're pressing ahead. They feel they have to do it. They feel there's a sense of injustice there, maybe, because the match finished in a draw and it was changed accordingly to a 1 point win for Mullinalaghta. After changing the whole nature of the draw, the pairings are different now. And I think Kish and Killeagh are apart, but the CCC seem very sure that there's no rule in the book that can change their decision last Friday as to holding up the championship. And they're going ahead with the matches on Saturday and Sunday as per the fixture list. And now, ironically, the Carrick-Edmond appeal, I think it has to be in by this evening or the morning, so that probably won't be held. God knows, maybe early next week. So basically, it looks like they're going to plough ahead with the championship and leave Carrick and with their appeal, not knowing what's going to happen. So
it's strange that like it's sort of it's an awkward situation. You'd imagine the wheels would move a little bit more quickly.
Oh yeah, maybe they should have. Maybe they moved a little bit more quickly from the meeting last Friday. It might have been earlier in the week after all this thing broke. Nip it in the bud, as they say.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. The match was the previous Saturday evening. All sorts of rumours are abounding then. Drumard were out at one stage. They'd done nothing wrong. They won their match well, and they're back in it now. And Carrick-Edmond are out. And at this moment in time, they're in a relegation playoff, if you want to call it, because them and Slashers finished with the same number of points and the identical score difference, they have to play off. So basically they got a playoff to get into the actual relegation playoff. The winners plays Killeagh and the losers plays Edgerstown. So like it's very rare. If that's the way the course of the thing, then it's gone from bad to worse for Carrick Edmond. And
that game is fixed for Saturday evening, is it?
Yeah.
Slashers and Carrick Edmond.
Yeah, I find that very strange.
Should Carrick Edmond play that game if they're subject of an appeal? If they play it, are they accepting, well, this is where we are? You know, or do they have to wait till the appeal is...
I didn't see the rush on that one. I think that was putting the gun to the head a bit, to ask Carrick Edmond to play in a relegation extra playoff, as we would call it, and this appeal ongoing. Like, you know, whatever about the 4 quarter-finals going ahead with 8 different clubs, and whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. But to ask Carrick Edmond to go and play under a cloud, like, you know, I mean, they could have waited till the following week, you know, until things were sorted. Because, I mean, the relegation issue can be ran alongside the championship, which doesn't finish until the 13th of October, you know what I mean? Like, so, and I think even next weekend, Jimmy...
Well, look, that's another ridiculous, like Slashers and Edgerstown. If Slashers and Edgerstown are playing...
One of them is going to be playing.
Yeah, but they're both playing
in the hurling final, and there's players involved in both.
You can't have them the same weekend.
So that's out the door for a start.
There's Carrick Edmond players involved with that.
Yeah.
There's Slashers players involved with that. There's Connolly's, there's Grattan's, there's
Killeagh.
So you have so many clubs. So you can't play any of those games the same weekend as a senior county hurling final.
No, in fairness, and that's the centrepiece for the hurlers, and you know it's their day. And
I wonder, is it a thing that, you know, it's so difficult to deal with? And, you know, I'm talking about, could they not have moved sooner? Maybe it's not possible to move sooner. Maybe these things do take time, and...
Well, right, it seems, and everybody you talk to sees, oh, geez, typical Longford, that's what they say, you know, and the people on the street. And you're still dealing with a Slashers Drumard game from the league that hasn't been played yet, you know, where there's appeals and counter appeals and everything else. So the league isn't finished yet. We still don't know who's going down to Division 2 because that game hasn't been played yet, or nobody knows whether it's going to be played yet or not.
But I wouldn't say it's typically Longford. I think it's typically most counties.
Well, our league is embroiled in objections and appeals and no fault of clubs or anything else, and now our championship is involved in appeals, and you know, so...
Well, look at... We'll move on, lads, and hopefully things will be resolved. There's probably going to be a bit of pain for somebody, I suppose, but look, that's the nature of things. Before we get on to the senior football, can we say a few words about the hurling, Jimmy?
Yeah, the hurling there was on Sunday, the third round game. Slashers played Clongish down in Edgerstown, and it was a game that Clongish had to win by 5 points. Unfortunately, it went the other way around. Well, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for Clongish, it went the other way around, and Slashers won by 5 points. And that was always going to be the case. Slashers went into that game heavy favourites and proved their favourite tag. You know, they're very strong down the middle. Slashers, they're very strong. Noel Dunn is an excellent goalkeeper there. Johnny Casey's having a brilliant season, and Johnny's no spring chicken, as the fella says. He's a veteran now, but he's playing better than he's ever played. He's really on fire. If Karen Murray was back there as well, playing very well. If David Buckley centre forward playing well, Mian Mulcahy in the full forward line scoring heavily. So Slashers played very well. Again, Clongish, they're short of a lot of players, you know. They're dependent on Joe O'Brien an awful lot, and Joe did score 1-3 and that. But they were short players, and Matthew Flynn there, a lot of footballers play as well. So look, it was a foregone conclusion in my mind that Slashers were going to win that game, you know, even though Clongish had won the last 2 county finals. So now it's Wolf Tones against Slashers on Sunday week in the county final, and Slashers will go in heavy favourites into that, I think, anyway.
And Podgy, what's the headline in your paper about that match? You were at it.
Well, the headline is Longford Slashers through to the county senior hurling final. If I'm not mistaken, this is their 6th final in a row. And they've lost 4 of them, Jimmy, I think. Slashers won it in they lost to Edgerstown and Clongish, and then they might have lost Clongish back in 2018. Won it in 2021 for the first time in 20 years. Now, for a competition with just 3 clubs, it was a very poor return, and now they're in a situation that they're going into their 6th final in a row, and you know, I think 2 titles. I bet Edgerstown are one of those. I think it was, no, it was in that 2021 one. I think it was Edgerton beaten. That was the last time Edgerton were in it. I'm not entirely agree with Jimmy on the heavy tag of favouritism there with Longford Slashers. I'm just looking at it this morning even there, studying it, and Old Towns have a good experienced spine there themselves. Now I don't see Seamus Hannon listed.
Seamus hasn't played this year. No, he's sticking with the football, and he hasn't played the hurling this year.
And he won't appear in the county.
No, I can't see that. I don't think. No, they have a good panel.
Tiernan Hussey there.
Tiernan will play. He missed the last day because of some old electric picnic or something.
Right.
He'll be back, and he played very well against Lungish and scored a goal and a couple of points in the first round game.
Milan
is very good. Extra Limerick.
Martin Kyle for experience.
Martin as well. You know, you've Ronan Courtney very strong
too.
As well. We've Dylan Hutchinson, who came from Shamrocks in Offaly there, is transferred. He's a footballer and hurler there as well.
Yeah.
Michael Savage has gone from full forward into the full back line as well. So look, I'm not underestimating Wolf Tones just because I'm a Wolf Tones player or ex-player, but I just think Slashers look sharper this year, and in that game that they played against Wolf Tones, they looked that bit sharper, and they were without the two Murrays that day as well. So look, it will be a tight one. There's nobody going to walk away with it. No. But I would give the edge to.
I think Slashers beat them by a point in the group stage, and both of them scored convincing wins over Kish. As Jimmy pointed to, they were short players, and we're always going to struggle this year, you know. Now Carl Murray came back for Slashers. It was a big boost. They played him in midfield. And Ruben was actually on the line, so Ruben is close to return, so you probably see Ruben back for the final, I'd say. So you'll have the two Murrays back, and the two Murrays didn't play against Wolf Tones the last day, if I didn't. No. So they'll obviously strengthen Slasher's hand, you know.
Podgy, I was very impressed with Micheál Mulcahy.
Now
I know his father. I used to play a bit of indoor soccer with him, and Mick was very full. He was a very determined individual. He'd go through you for a short cut, but Micheál is obviously the same build or the same, ideas about the game. He's fairly well able to go at it.
He's not afraid, I can tell you that. There was a ruck there or two in the second half. Now, it got fairly fiery in the second half now, you know what I mean? Like, it was a bit of a whole biting it, and young Mulcahy was in among them all, like. He's not that big, like.
Yeah. He was well able to take a score.
He was well able to take a score. He took a score, a relieving score for Slashers. So Kish came back 2 points at one stage, got to go up and Joe O'Brien, and another point from O'Brien, and then Mulcahy stepped up and scored a mighty point, and that took the pressure off Slashers, and they pushed on then after that. But he's been playing with the county as well. Like this fella is a decent hurler.
In the last year or two,
you know,
he has developed into a good hurler.
What we call another one of these slippery eels.
Yeah, he is really.
But when he gets him, it's very hard to stop him. Yeah. You know, so.
Very good. Well, we look forward to that final in Pierce Park. It's not this Sunday. It's Sunday week, isn't 22nd. It? And Jimmy, I would imagine Clubber will be streaming it.
The hurling final,
yeah.
They usually do. Yeah.
So let's move on now to a preview of the senior football championships, assuming everything goes ahead as planned. So the first match is on Saturday, Killeagh Emmett Oak versus Drumard at 4:45 in Pierce Park, or Glenn Brothers Pierce Park. Jimmy. Killeagh have been a strong side for the last number of years, and I know you have doubts about how prepared they are for the quarter-finals in terms of their opposition hasn't been that strong up to this.
Well, look, they're unbeaten. They've won every game in Group A there, and won most of them convincingly, apart from a narrow victory over Mostrom, which was a blip on their part. But they're playing very well and putting teams away early, and allowing Luke Dempsey to play fringe players and giving them time to run out, and all that is great and lovely and everything else. But you won't have that luxury against Drumard on Saturday evening. You know, Drumard are a tough, hard team, and Killeagh go at you, but Drumard are well able to stop. And the thing about Drumard, last Saturday week they were out of the championship. And they were out with the championship up until Friday or Saturday of this week, you know. So this is a bonus territory now for Drumard. They've nothing to lose. They can go out with abandon and go for Killeagh, and that's what I think they have to do. They can't drop back against Killeagh if they go at them, because Killeagh's defence hasn't been tested to any great lengths in Group A. And no, like Colmcille were the second strongest team in Group A. They met Colmcille in the first round in July, where Ger Carberry wasn't in with Colmcille. I think Ger was still out of the country or just coming back, and he hadn't had time to blend his team. So they got Colmcille at the right time. And from that, they had Rathcline and Mostrom and Granard and Killeagh, and no offence to any of those, but they weren't strong opposition for Killeagh. Now, Killeagh, don't get me wrong, they're a quality team, but I think this is going to be their first major test of the championship, and maybe I still think they will win, but I don't think it's going to be very convincing. I think Drumard will have a cut at them.
Podgy, I think Drumard are known for their physicality and intensity, but in the light that Killeagh were trying to up their game, as it were, in terms of physicality, etc. How do you think they might approach this game with a view to a win?
Drumard you're talking
Yes.
about. Look, Drumard have a number of quality footballers, experienced players, and Jimmy Manson springs to mind. And then he's on his day, he's nearly unstoppable. Not only is he a very talented individual, but he's also physically very strong. And then you have Francis McGee, and you have Ronan McIntyre, and you have Aaron Farr, who, when he's on the song, he's very impressive. If Peter Reynolds there into the defence, they're a great sprinkling. Remember, they lost Matt Duffy now, obviously he's in Australia now, and then Oisin O'Toole, who's away on work abroad. He'll hardly appear on Saturday, but if he does, that's a big boost for Drumard. As Jimmy says, Drumard they kind of have a free shot at it. Like, Killeagh are the favourites and have been from the outset, like, to win the championship. They have a serious squad now. I mean, in fairness to Drumard, they're getting 15 out and they have lads on the bench, but they don't have the quality, near the quality that Killeagh has on the bench. And it's no longer a 15-man, it's a 20-man thing now, because if you can call on experienced players like, say, Ronan McGoldrick, who's kind of an impact sub for Killeagh, could be starting now at the weekend. Just hard to see Killeagh being beaten. The previous clashes between Killeagh and Drumard have been great games. There were some cracking games. And I think because Drumard just had a go back then, it'll be the same on Saturday evening.
Now, I know you mentioned a player there, Podgy, but who do you think will be the standout players?
The two Mordens are going to take an awful lot of stopping. Larry's coming back to himself, missed out a couple of years away. Paddy is electric, but they have them all over the place. Now, the only negative I would say that Michael Quinn is missing. Michael Quinn, they had that physical strength to match up to Drumard. That's a minus for Killeagh, because, I mean, they could pinpoint him and stop, say, Jimmy Mason, for argument's sake. And Mickey probably won't be there unless he makes a rapid recovery from his. Remember, Mickey hasn't played since the Talton Cup, I think, Jimmy. Yeah. They played, I think it was Killeagh up in Newbridge, and he hasn't played since, and there's talk that he mightn't feature at all. But as I say, they have a Gavin Farley fella too in defence, a young player. They have a good blend of youth and experience. They didn't just stop at the same 15. They kept on turning it over and introducing these young fellas. And then, as Jimmy did say again, that Luke got the chance to try out the match in a group that wasn't near as strong as the group of death, as we call it. Let's call a spade. And now they're facing their first major test. But I think they'll pass it.
Yeah, I just say the main player I see for Killeagh, and I see all year, is Daniel Mimna. I really think he's had a huge influence for Killeagh this year, and he's doing an awful lot of work, and he's coming back into the defence to set up attacks and giving great ball into the full forward line, And if they can curb him, if Drumard can get somebody to stay with Daniel Mimna for a lot of the game. I know who do you put on him, who do you does he follow him everywhere? But I really think if they can curb him, and Aaron Farr, there was one game Aaron Farr, he scored heavily, but the supply of ball into Aaron isn't always as it should be, and I think if they can get good ball into him, they tend to focus more on Jamesy Martin, who's great to see him back again as well, and Frankie McGee, and maybe don't give Aaron that amount of ball. But I think if maybe Aaron Farrell can get more quality ball, he could be a surprise for them and maybe have a great game. But again, the full back line of Killeagh, They're going to be tested on Sunday. They're going to be tested like they haven't been tested in the championship, and that could be their Achilles heel, is the lack of competition for their backline.
Who would be the standout player, do you think, for Drumard would be?
I think it's going to be German Masters, and whether they play him at 9 or whether they play him at 14. They've started him at 14 in a couple of the games and brought him back out in the middle of the field and brought him in and out. You know, against Abbeylara, he wasn't getting much change in against PJ Masters, and so they brought him back out again. You know, so he's scoring. He scores nearly a goal or a couple of points in every game. So I think he's the main man for Drumard, is German Masters, and you know, a veteran and very experienced footballer.
Very good. Podgy, you talked earlier about the strength of the Killeagh squad. So I presume that's going to be critical if the game is tight coming into the latter stages. Killeagh will have a stronger. They'll be able to replace players if they're tired and all that.
Yeah, they have a few match winners, and one there we shouldn't leave out, and he basically won the final for Killeagh last year against Kish. Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes is prolific in everything he does, both from frees and play and capable of scoring goals. Now, it was a mystery to me how he didn't get the man of the match to the county final, because it wasn't the greatest game of all time, and I think he scored all bar 2 points of the Killeagh total, and we were all a little bit mystified why he didn't get it. But anyway, he's capable of clocking up 4 and 5 points. So to me, he's the kind of their match winner in many ways. Saved the county a few times this year in tough situations.
They have loads of influential players, like, you know, if one's having a bad day, well then...
Yeah, another name that just springs up, you could just roll off, like, you know Paddy Kiernan now in the middle of the pair, the Moffats, Ronan and Darren, you know, Keane Dooner, a player I admire, but can't get his place in the team now. I know he's injured, but this is one of the best young players when he's playing won minor championships.
Oh, yeah.
But they're both good their scores. They have any amount of talent, and they've been turning over and kept that conveyor belt going to get the team to have now. I think they actually are nearly stronger this year than they were last. They have James Morden back as well, who didn't play last year. You know.
So they obviously, you know, are better prepared for that situation. A tight game near the end, they'll have more players to pull off the bench.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll go for. I think the Killeagh will try to finish them early now. That'd be my opinion, Jimmy. That.
I don't know if that's going to happen for them. I don't know if it's going to be that easy for them. You know, I know they like the big expanses of Pierce Park, and for Drumard it hasn't been a great hunting ground for them in recent years, and they don't like that wide open pitch. But I just think maybe Drumard just, you know, because we're still there, we're not going to lie down.
Yeah.
You know.
We'll just have to wait and see, lads.
And Daniel Comby, just want to say, Daniel Comby, I've been impressed with him coming on for Drumard off the bench there a few times. I thought he's played well and lively when he comes in.
He was midfield a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but
I know he's kind of injury prone and that, but like, I mean...
He is coming in and he's doing well. I just was impressed with him throughout the year.
Well, look, lads, we'll move on to the second match on Saturday. It's Kish versus Colmcille at 6:15. All these matches, by the way, will be on Clubber TV. Podgy, you know, it's only a couple of weeks ago that Kish were at the bottom of their group, and here they are now. They're in second position. So how do you think they're shaping up for this quarter final?
Well, they're coming good when it matters most, and they had to win 2 games, and they won them convincingly. And they're key men like Jack Duggan and Matthew Carey. They'll take some stopping, like they're racking up some scores, and then they have Michael Flynn there back from injury, and then his younger brother Cormac, a little dinger, another one of these slippery eels. How do you stop them, or how do you mark them? And then
you really tried to stop them the last time.
Didn't work out, but then I suppose key for Kish is Andrew Flynn. Now, Andrew got injured against Mullinalaghta when they were 6 points there at half time. He was a serious loss. So if he's back fit now, he's after getting a good break now, 4-week break. I don't know exactly, I think it could be a hamstring problem, I don't know. So if he's back to play centre half back, then a whole lot revolves around him, and the perfect ball will be gone in then to the boys inside. It'll be actually moving even quicker. And like, you know, as I say, they have great young talent coming through, and they have a number of experienced players as well. Don't be surprised if David Barrett makes an appearance at some stage too. Like, he's another one of these elder statesmen who will kind of lighten up this championship. You know, you know, still, you see, there's no substitute for class.
Oh, no.
But these guys have it in spades, like, you know.
Jimmy, Colmcille have been moving along nicely, you know, through the whole campaign. I don't know whether you'd say they have a bit of momentum behind them in the way that you were saying Kish, but how are they going to use this steadiness that they've been able to show all season and overcome Kish?
Well, the only thing about this game, I'm really looking forward to this game. I think they're two fierce, open, fast, good, exciting football teams, and it's a shame that they're making at this stage of the championship. They'll make a great final.
There's a good commentator doing that, I think, Benny O'Brien.
No, actually, I'm doing that one. I heard there was a good commentator.
Oh, that's a pity. That's a pity.
I'll be on trouble for the 2 on Saturday. No, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I was just looking at the scores that Colmcille have clocked up. 2-13, 2-11, 2-14, 1-7, and then there was 2-4 again. They're consistently scoring heavily and not conceding a lot of goals, whereas Kish have conceded 8 goals in the championship and Colmcille have scored 9. So it could be a shootout in the OK Corral here, you know. But I think Colmcille are going to give Kish lots of this, and I think Kish are inexperienced, and I won't say the word weak, but 1 to 7 aren't as good as 8 to 15. So they've an attacking team, but in defence they're not as solid as they could be. And Colmcille have the likes of Cathal Riley playing very well this year. Cathal McCabe playing well. Cathal McCabe not at full potential either, I wouldn't say. There's more to see in him. The McKeown's playing very well there as well, you know. So and the midfield partnership of Fergal Shorten and Vinnie Hurling are very strong for Colmcille. I think they're a more balanced side, Colmcille, and I fancy them to turn Kish over. But that said, if they allow Kish to run at them like Kish ran at Abbeylara in the second half the last day, then they could be in trouble. But I just think they're a more balanced side and probably give them the nod in that one, you know.
Podgy, what do you think the game will be like? Do you think it'll be a free-flowing match, or will it be more defensive, or, you know, will it be a goal rush as Jimmy seems to think?
No, these are attacking teams. You couldn't see a defensive game here. Now with the scoring forwards that they have, like, you know, Jack Mack in there now springs to mind, another real good talent for Colmcille. And then of course running up against Kerry and Duggan, you know, the twin threat of those two. Serious scoring and both sides, I'd say. It could be high. It's going to be a high-scoring game. It looks like it'll be an open game. It nearly has to be. These teams don't know how to be defensive, as Jimmy explained about. Defensively, they mightn't be as strong, and Colmcille would fall into that boat a bit as well now. You know, but then we hark back to the older man again, and Declan Riley, still playing well, very effective. You know, in the half-back line there, Rory Harkin played with the county. Now Enda Mackin is back as well, and he'll be back full back. So like,
you know, we talk about key players. So I think nearly at this stage, with so many senior players, for want of a better term, we nearly have to have 2 groups. So could you name the senior players and, let's say, the younger players who are going to be key? Let's say for Drumard.
Well, there was a guy.
Sorry. For Colmcille.
The younger players, well, they've all moved on a bit now. Like, you know, again, to pick a player that I thought was exceptional talent, and he's not that old. It's Rory Harkins. Rory, isn't it? Rory Hawkins.
Rory Harkin.
Not to be convinced with Rory Harkin. They used to get them mixed up, you know. And he'd be. He's unlikely to start. I don't think he's making
it.
He
hasn't been, no, but he's been brought on.
You know, like they don't really. They're experienced outfit now, Colmcille.
Experienced, they don't.
They don't really. They don't. Especially the same players that won the championship 2 years ago, more or less.
Yeah. Well, who for you will be the key players?
Well, Jack Mackin, of course. Now he's key. Now, if you're talking about a rising young star, well, he's one of them. And I think Jack got man of the match actually when they won the title in 2022. You know, so like Jack is only a young guy too. Like, so yeah, again they've been bringing them through. But Kish are generally mostly all young. You know, now I know Peter Halley there. He was playing full back last midfield the next. They're a little bit undecided who should man the full-back position and who will be in midfield.
Or is it going to be Peter Hanley?
You know, Ronan Sweeney, where do they play Ronan Sweeney?
If Flynn is back, are they going to drop Sweeney or are they going to put him back?
You know, so the matchups will be interesting now, you know. And then you have to, like Clongish have giant managers in Liam Belton and John Twaddle. So it'll be interesting to see tactically. But I suppose tactically you couldn't really say that because it's going to be very open, in my opinion. And as Jimmy says, it probably could be the game of the weekend.
I think so.
You know.
Who for you will be the key players in both teams?
Well, the key for Clongish is going to be, well, probably Jack Duggan. He has been key in the last couple of games for them, and when he puts on the burners, like he's impossible to stop. He's a big physical man. He can drive at you. And it's impossible. I don't know how anybody would stop him in full flow. And of course, if Colmcille are going to concede frees, when Matthew Carey is going to punish them all day long, so they really have to cut out the frees. But when you have a little lad like Cormac Flynn going at you, you know, and getting in, it's hard not to foul him. Like, he draws fouls and he draws frees, and they know they're doing that. And Matthew Flynn as well is very influential for them coming back, sort of like Daniel Mimna does for Killeagh, and setting up the attacks. So they're the ones for Clongish. For Colmcille, I think they have a good midfield partnership. Fergal Sheridan has been nipping in with goals, important goals in several games this year, driving forward as well. You know, Cahill Riley as well has been playing. He's underestimated, Cahill, a lot of the time, you know. And of course Jack McKenna, as Paddy said, you know. But
Fergal Sheridan's playing well, good year. And Matthew Flynn that you mentioned there. Matthew Flynn is probably his best season since he moved up to the seniors. Like.
And I think Colin McCabe is due a big game. He's been steady throughout the championship, but he's capable of an awful lot more.
He's a Pearse Park man, isn't he?
Yeah. A big day man.
Yeah, big day man. Came into the park to say. Yeah. Park will sort the men out from the boys, Mick.
Yeah. They'll be keeping him a bit out in the 40. Maybe put him in there close to the goals. He's
a dinger now. He puts his head down and it's just hard to stop him, you know.
Low centre of gravity, you know.
Oh, I'm very familiar. That's how I was such a good footballer myself, low centre of gravity. I used to explain that to people, you know, that there used to be this Russian basketball player, and she was huge, but she was so unstable. Her only asset was they threw the ball to her at the net and she was able to put it in. But when she was running, she was like a wobbling Eiffel Tower, you know.
Were you a junior B, Mick? Were you a junior B player? Because I never heard your name.
I'm just going to make a reference now, and it's something I didn't want to do this, Paddy, but I feel I have to. So, folks, in preparation for this quarter-final, I sent the boys the questions, you know, as you do beforehand, so that they could fully prepare for them. Now, Jimmy Jess here is an excellent pupil because he has done his work here. Look at this, all this paperwork has been done. Look, he's got about 15 pages of notes here. Now, I know Podgy is a man of script and writing or whatever, but he has nothing in front.
It's all up there for him.
I'm just leaving it at that, right?
We mentioned the referees actually, because they should get a mention, you know, the week that is, like Mark Clancy is refereeing the Killeagh Drumard, a very good referee, and Patrick Maguire doing the Clongish Colmcille game. So they'll let the game flow as well, you know, and they'll allow players to carry on, you know. It's two good solid refs.
I just think it's something like that. It's a shame in a way that, you know, you hear a lot of sideline comments about the ref. Ref, you didn't see that, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. I heard a lot there at the Hurling the weekend. And I just wonder, people must forget that, you know, nobody is perfect, and, you know, it's very hard to get referees. It's very hard to...
It's a thankless job.
To officiate at things, you know.
Clonfert got it very hard to get a pool of referees this year, and to those they are referee, I'd say fair play to them. They're a dedicated bunch, like, you know.
Sure, you're hiding nothing as a ref. You're never going to be.
No, you know, you're always going to get the crank in the stand that's going to give out, like. But never be happy.
But if they do it right and do it well, well, they're ignored because they don't
they're not
know, so
they're not worried.
But only when they make that mistake, it's highlight.
But to me, they could be under even more pressure than some of the players. Do you know, in terms of performance?
Well, you're standing there in the middle of Pearse Park next weekend. The pressure is as much on the referee to get it right as is ever the players that produce the goods. You know.
Right, lads. So we move on to the third of the quarterfinals, and this is on. Podgy, do you want a bit of time to go through your notes there?
All right.
We're going to deal with Mullinalaghta and St Mary's and Granard. A bit of a local rivalry there, I think. Mullinalaghta have dominated for so long. Are they going to continue by putting Granard out?
Yeah, well, the draw, the reconfigured draw kind of worked in their favour. I think initially when Carrigaven were through and Drumard were out, they were down to play at Colmcille. And Colmcille had no fear whatsoever of Mullinalaghta, having done them quite a few times, and including the county final a couple of years ago. This is a very tough task for Granard. A young team. Of course, then there's Darren Gallagher. Now, they bet Edgertown, Jimmy, you were there. And Darren didn't play that well, so they didn't depend on Darren that day. But these young guys stood up. So they're going to come into, again, a bit like Drumard, they have a free go at this. Yeah. They were delighted to get through to the quarter final. No relegation worries, nothing. Bonus territory completely for Granard. And it'll be a major upset if they got through now. I haven't said it. But you try telling that to the Granarders. They're very, very proud people, great tradition, and you know, and so they're there and they're there in merit, and you know they'll give it their best shot.
Yeah.
You know?
What areas, Jimmy, of Mullinalaghta's game do you think that Granard can exploit?
The head, Mick. The head. Because I think now, right, if I was a Granard man and I was after seeing Mullinalaghta were in a quarter final against Colmcille. They were in a quarter final, they didn't have to object to anything. We'll take our quarter final against Colmcille, but they objected to the. Is that the reason they objected? Because they look at Granard as being a handy option? If I was Granard, I'd be saying, by Jesus, boys, we're not going. That's going to drive me on. You know, as a player, it has to drive you on. That Mullinalaghta wanted to play Granard because it'd be easier than Colmcille. So that's what I think. Maybe the head might be the whole thing. If Granard's head is right, and if they use that as a sort of a driving force on for them. But they have the footballers as well. They really have the footballers, and I was very impressed the last two games. Now I know that the first three games didn't go well for them, and they ended up playing Killeagh and Mostram in their last two games, which was an easier run-in for them to get to a quarter-final. But they have been coming good. They've all their players back. I think Michael Hines came on the last day. He's back from injury as well. So they have a full outfit there, and I like the way they're playing, and I think if they go at Mullinalaghta, and I think they could turn them over, but I know you don't agree with me, but I think they have the potential to do it.
Yeah, the Mullinalaghta game is a very measured game now, and it has been for the last number of years. You know, might be lacking a bit of pace, but what they lacking pace, now they were a great side, don't get me wrong, Jesus Christ, what they done was unbelievable, win the Leinster title and 3 in a row of county titles, you know, and others, leagues, you name it, they won everything. But they've so much experience. They can plan this game, I think, nearly to suit themselves, to see what way we're going to take these guys down, you know. But if they ever fell behind early on and Granard got the belief in themselves, and Darren Gallagher all of a sudden produced his best. Now, if he produces his best, I don't think there's anybody in the Mullinalaghta team who's going to compete with him now.
But that Niall Woods there from Mullinalaghta has...
Oh, he's strengthened it. Oh, he has, definitely.
I'm fierce impressed with Conor Leonard this year. Fierce impressed with the way he's developed as a footballer centre back there from Mullinalaghta.
They're moving them out to midfield too as well there. They're kind of alternating them.
You know, and Simon Catt and Patrick Fox playing very well in the full back line as well, you know. And Jason Matthews, Emmett Brady, I think, is a very underestimated player for Mullinalaghta. You know, he has the potential, a bit like Colin McCabe, a bit like, you know, to have a big game on his day. But again, Jason Matthews, they're going to have their work cut out there, and Mark Tully will have his work cut out if he's marking Jason Matthews. You know,
and then,
lads, who do you think? You know, can you? I know you don't know the line of both teams, but who is likely to be marking Darren Gallagher, for instance? Who's likely to be marking Jason Matthews, or who do you think would be the best fit, or is that?
No, they'll just play Mullinalaghta. They'll play whoever it is in midfield. Whether it be Niall Woods or Ed McGillig in midfield now. Ed McGillig might be the man. But there's one man in there among them all, kind of the ace in the pack in ways, with all his experience. And sometimes he doesn't start, but when he does come on, he's so effective. That's Keane Mackey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Keane Mackey is like a former Cavan footballer, and he's... He could have a big say now on Sunday, you know.
What's the word on James McGivney, Podgy? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I just heard that his suspension might be lifted temporarily.
Yeah, I heard that.
So
On what basis?
I don't know. I wouldn't know wouldn't be the rule book now. It wouldn't be.
But if they
An area
have
I'd
him
be-
there now, that's going to be a huge boost for them.
Oh, it'll be a huge boost if he's there. Yeah, if he's
They're
available.
short of the bench, you know.
They are, and this fella Gibney can boot balls over from any distance, and he got some super points in the last few years, like so. Like, yeah, and he was back, and then there's talk that David, his brother, could be coming home from Australia, but maybe later down the line, like.
They are battle this one. It'll be a tough one.
Yeah.
And just go on like discipline or the lack of it. Could that be another factor?
Look,
in the game?
Mullinalaghta are Mullinalaghta, like, and they'll take no prisoners, like, you know, in fairness to them, and they'll go hard
But
at it.
if this is a tight game, let's say, and they have a couple of yellow cards or whatever, and then there's a red and all that sort of stuff, like that could.
Yeah, it might, but you have to live a little bit on the edge, you know. You have to, and to play Mullinalaghta style of football, they're going to go at Granard and hit them hard. And you know, sometimes Fergal Kelly's reffing that one. You know, Fergal he let a little bit go. I suppose he's not as fussy maybe as others, but you know, they'll play their style of football, and that's going to be the way they'll play it. And that's hard, tough, and they'll go in tough. And Granard will know they were in the match by Sunday evening.
Very good. So, so that's Mullinalaghta versus Granard, and then at 5:15, Podgy, we have Abbeylara versus Rathcline. So, I think Rathcline are capable of scoring very heavily. How do you think Abbeylara will cope with that?
I think once Rathcline qualified, they went a different route. Maybe it mightn't work out in their favour, but fellas that were on injury, like, you know, like the likes of Shane Kenny and Cian Gilmore and Shane Dunhoe, are all being kept, or were kept for this one game. Now that's a gamble, because they're after losing 2 matches now, and their confidence mightn't be as high as it was. Obviously, it's not as high as it was when they won the first 3 games to qualify, with 2 games to spare, and subsequently were well beaten by Killeagh and well beaten by Colmcille. Now, the last match in Colmcille, it didn't mean anything because both already qualified. But Rathcline have the scoring power. Oran Kenny now, that's a match winner if ever there was one. And again, capable of scoring 6 or 7 points in the match. So, like, they have enough good players, but whether they have enough to get past Abbeylara, I doubt it, because I think Frankie Dolan has made a big difference to Abbey. And as I mentioned earlier in these programmes, he has them structured to a game plan that does not change no matter what. Yeah, and they proved that against Carrigaban in the group stage when they were losing against the wind, and they still were able to finish strong. They're fit now, they're very fit. He has them very fit. And but I think Keane Brady will be missing for that match, would that be correct?
He read the last day.
So that's it reduces their options, because their bench wouldn't be that particularly strong now, you know. But as I say, they're dependent on quite a few lads that have been there for a while. But one in particular, I'll have to mention him, is very impressed with this guy now, is Kieran Scanlon, midfielder. This fella's good now, you know. And the midfield battle is going to be key in that one.
And he's obviously the key behind Abbeyara's dominance at midfield.
Yeah, well, you see, and Fergal Battram rakes of experience, you know what I mean? Like, and together they're a good unit, you know. And then you have the Masters as a defence, Pija and Brian. Brian is a flying machine. Yeah. Played for Brian, I don't know, did he get to one game just? I mean,
yeah, he has. He's been injured the last few now, so.
Yeah. But he'll be back. He was injured. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Do any of these teams, lads, have a bit of momentum, or are they both sort of going at the same pace into the game?
Well, see, both of them are already qualified, Mick.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're going into this game, and this is it. Like, you know, it's a whole new ball game when you get to the park.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll be saying, now let's say we're starting from scratch. Frankie will be telling this. Championship starts here, boys. We're in the semi-final, we lose, we're gone. Season over. Simple as. All right in this game. And that's the way Rathcline have been taking it. Like, you know.
You talk about Rathcline's scoring power, Paddy, and I was just looking at the scores. And in 3 of their games, one game they scored 8 points, another game they scored 7 points, another game they scored 5. So they're not, and Shane Kenny was missing for those ones.
He's very key.
You know, he is really key because they scored 317 and it was against Granard against Killeagh, 317 and 315 in those 2 games. But the other 3 games they hadn't scored that up to their potential. You know, so they're struggling a lot.
I just found out that they struggled that night for score, but then Shane Kenny went off injured.
Yeah.
So bringing Shane Kenny into the equation obviously opens it all up for Rathcline, and particularly for his brother in the corner. Because if he gets the perfect ball, there's only one place for it. It could be under the bar, because some of his points could have been goals.
Yeah.
You know, because he's deadly accurate.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking that Shane is huge for Rathcline, and Shane Dunhu with all his experience. But he's been down with injury for most seasons. And
Abbey have been consistent with their scoring, 12, 13 points in most games, but they haven't been scoring goals.
Yeah,
they've had 1 goal in the championship so far in 5 games. You know, so that's where they're maybe trying to get.
Then he scored 1-5 against Mullinalaghta. Having said that, in the opening round of the championship out in Killeagh,
and haven't scored a goal since.
They haven't scored a goal since.
No. You know. But Robbie Smith is having a good year.
He is having a good year, yeah.
And he's liable to get a goal for you if you give him an inch. You know, he'll turn and he'll score. A very impressive Killeagh Lynch as well for Abbey.
Yeah,
he's had a good year.
He played for the 20s, the Longford 20s this year. He's a big, tall guy, and adds that aerial power to Abbey. You know, and as I say, like there's another good player there too. He's to me, he's kind of stood out a bit. Reece Riley.
Oh, Reece is playing well.
Yeah, good pace. Starts through, stop me if you can type of way, bump, capable of taking a score. Nigel Rabbit there, you know.
And Nigel hasn't been starting.
A bit strange.
But when he comes on, he's mad for action and he's hungry. Maybe Frankie's saying, hold him back a bit, bring him on there, because he's getting a couple of points every game when he's coming in too, you know.
Yeah, I just think that Abbeylara, as I say, their bench is not that strong, I don't think.
Nor is Rathcline.
No. So
Harvey Michael, full back for Rathcline. I think he's had a quality year.
It's a name that doesn't. They're obviously kind of an unsung hero in many ways. Like, you know, David Rowney there too. Like David,
centre-back.
Yeah, he sprays the ball about well. He's a good controller, that type of thing. You know, fellas that we always mention the Kennys because they're class footballers, but like the lads at the back there, you know, they're doing a great job. Like, you know.
Right, lads, I think it's come to a time now where we ask you your opinion, and procrastination aside,
as Paul Devaney says on Twitter, he says, I love your show, lads, every week. I'm still waiting for Pádraig O'Brien to make up his mind.
Maybe, Haji, if we get you to write down, then we just read it out. Because
we can put the names in a hat for him.
The minute you start talking, you're backtracking, forward tracking. Right, Haji, Killeagh versus Drumard. Who do you think will take it?
I'm going for Killeagh on this one.
Jimmy?
I'm going for Killeagh by maybe 3 points.
Very good. Jimmy, Kish versus Colmcille.
I'm going for Colmcille by 2.
Very good. And Podgy?
I'm going for Kish in this one.
Very good. Podgy, Mullinalaghta versus Mary's and Granard. St Mary's?
I'm going for Mullinalaghta.
Right. And Jimmy?
I'm going for Granard by a point.
Very good. And then the last match, Jimmy, Abbeylara and Rathcline. Who are you going for there?
I'm going for Abbeylara by 3 or 4.
And I'll stick with Abbeylara on that one.
Very good. Okay, lads, thanks very much for coming here today.
There's one thing I wanted to say, and it was a fierce, interesting stat. I think Clongish Miners lost a match during the week, and it's the first time since 2021 that they've lost a match in either under 14, under 16 or minor. In any of those competitions, Clongish haven't lost a game until this week. 3 years of under 14, under 16 and minor.
But I see they're under 14s, they're working in the business end of it this year.
Yeah, but it's it's an amazing stat.
It's an amazing stat. Like, actually, in the under 14A final next Monday night, the semi final was last night. Shannon Gales beat Granard. Shannon Gales play Killeagh. Yeah. Now, there's one for you.
Very hard, yeah.
It's a long time since they had good underage teams in the past, but they're playing in an A under 14 final on Monday evening in Pearse Park. Now, that's great to see.
Yeah. There's another thing there. 30 years ago today, Slashers bet Colmcille in the county final.
30 years ago. Remember well, we were getting well beaten.
Is that right?
Yeah. Desi Barry saved us that day.
There we are now.
Yeah.
Do you have any video footage of it, Podgy?
No, we're trying to keep that secret, mate. Well, not the way things are going at the moment.
Killeagh got man of the match.
Did he? No, did he?
Now, lads, we don't have time for you to reminisce about old times.
They're enjoying it, I think.
Can we just thank you again, lads, for this bit of a preview. Hope you enjoyed it, folks, and we appreciate the comments. We're getting comments, all of us, how enjoyable you're finding it, and that's our aim. And if there's anything we can do, or any things we can add, or if you want to interact with us, we'll probably start opening up some sort of a feed that people can use and communicate with us. But we're looking forward to these matches at the weekend. Hope you enjoy them, whether you're there in the pitch or whether you're joining Jimmy and Benny O'Brien or John Duffy live on Clubber. Thanks again.